But before we start, let's just quickly connect and settle in. So just leave the day behind. So I want you just to get comfortable, close your eyes, and just take a nice slow deep breath in and out, and drop into your heart space. And get a sense of what it feels in your heart, no judgment, just get a sense of what it feels like. I do the same from my side. And from your heart, send a connection to my heart. And I do the same, sending a connection to your heart. And from your heart, send a connection down into the heart of the earth. I do the same. Just connecting your heart with the heart of the earth. Perhaps bringing some of the light and energy that you sense in the heart of the earth up along the connection and into your body. And from your heart, send a connection to the all that is, God, Source, the Creator, whatever is appropriate for you. And perhaps scooping some of that energy up and allowing that to come along the connection and into your body. And as the energies are fusing and blending between the heart of the earth and the heart of the all that is, just allow that energy to expand out, radiating out from your body, getting bigger and brighter. And as the energy expands, allow yourself to connect with your soul. Sense the unity with the all that is. And we become one. Then becoming aware of your body in this time and this place. And just firmly plant your feet into the ground, just to anchor and ground the energies. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Okay, so if you have pen and paper ready, you may want to make some notes along the way, because there's usually a lot of information that comes through. The session is recorded, but as always, it's always easier to find that information later on when you come back to it. I'm going to start off just by looking at an overview of the chart, just so that you have an idea as to what we're looking at, and I'll be guiding you through with each of the energies, just so that you also know where we're sitting in the chart. So first of all, with Soul Plan, we've got two triangles. You've got the downward facing triangle and you've got the upward facing triangle. The downward facing triangle is also known as the worldly triangle, and it's associated with the first 35 to 40 years of life. And within this, we've got challenge, talents, and goals. The challenge is always where we get stuck. Talents are what we are good at, and the goals is what we want to achieve. And this is, as I mentioned, your first sort of 30 to 40 years in life. Then once you've done that, and it doesn't go away, but then once you've worked with that, we go into the spiritual triangle, and this is 30, 40 onwards to the rest of your life. And this also has challenge, talents, and goals to them. And then in the center, we have the soul destiny. The soul destiny is not a destination, it's more like a direction. So it's your main direction that your life is wanting to take. The worldly triangle, it doesn't just come to an end. So when we work with this, let's say 30, 40, and the spiritual triangle activates, this one still continues. So it's going to be with you for the rest of your life, but it's going to have a little bit of a lighter impact as we move into the spiritual triangle. And so we'll just see where you're at as we go along with the reading, and probably ask you a few questions along the way as well. I'd like to have an overview of the entire chart before I start. So you'll notice that we've got some combination numbers, there's some double numbers. Double numbers will have the same number in the front and the back, and then combination numbers will be like a 21-3. And we normally want to find a good balance within a chart. Now, in your case, you've got only two double numbers. The rest of them are all combination numbers. And so when we've got more combination numbers than double numbers, it can add a little bit of a confusion to life. So it's almost like there's too many choices, too many things to think about, too many things that you want to learn. And it can be a little bit distracting. Sometimes you don't complete things. So you get excited about something, move in the direction, and see something else that excites you, and then you move in that direction. And so what you want to do is you want to, within that flexibility and that flow, you want to find a way that you can complete things. So always come back to the things that you have started before and just come back and fix them and actually meet those goals. Your name is not too long. So when you've got a shorter name, it brings a little bit more of a rigidity to it. And so that almost brings the balance in here. So even though you've got the lots of combination numbers, the name brings a different balance because that'll bring almost like a rigidity. So it does give you that nice central point. So even though I only see 2 double numbers, it still brings a balance. Just watch out for the lots of ideas because that can sometimes get you off track. Really focus in on what it is that you want to work with. It is also possible that you used to have you were maybe a little bit less focused when you were younger, and as you get older, you get more focused. That could also present that way. How are you now with focus?
I think it depends on what I'm doing. As you know, I channel a lot of light codes, and I have a lot on the go. But I sort of wait for them to tell me that it's time to continue with that piece or that piece. But in the kitchen,
as
it's a
long as you
lot
get
of
to finish them.
Hey,
as long as you get to finish them, that's important.
I do finish them. I do finish them. It's whether they tell me I'm allowed to proceed or that I have to hold back. Like something's waiting it's stewing. It's stewing.
Got that. Cool. Okay. Then we've got, I'm looking at specific numbers here. You've got 2 10 ones. Now, when we've got the 2 10 ones coming up, when in combination, that usually indicates that we've got an alien soul. So you're not from here, definitely from outside of the solar system. And as a result, your thinking and your approach to life is going to be slightly different to most people. You may also find that you don't always understand how this planet works. And I think what you want to do here is you want to get to a place where you understand how it works here. You get to play the game here because that information you can take back again when you leave here and you go back to where you come from. Because this is here, it's almost like you're here on a mission to learn new ways of being and new ways of doing. The 10-1 could be an old soul here when we've got a double combination, and also when we've got the double, it's definitely an alien soul. Anything else that I can see? I'm just looking for overall things that I can pick on. That's only that for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the chart and I'll take one step at a time. I'll start here with a worldly challenge. Then we work our way around to the worldly talent, then worldly goal, and then we go to the spiritual challenge, talent, and goal, and then we come to the soul destiny to tie it all up. Okay, so let's start with this 7-7 over here. The 7-7, this is all about social skills, networking, working with groups, and facilitation. Now, obviously, as a child, you're not going to be doing facilitation and working in groups, and definitely not networking, but as children do network to some degree. But as a youngster, you may have found that you didn't quite like to be connected with people. And so you were a little bit more of a hermit, step outside, wanting to not be in the center of the circle.
They used to call me the loner.
The loner, there we go. Mm-hmm. So the challenge here, or the thing that you want to overcome, where you want to get to, is you want to get to a point where you can be in the group, when you can facilitate the groups, when you can hold space for people. So obviously that will happen probably a little bit later on in life. But in the beginning, especially younger years, that is where you hold back. The 7-7 is associated with vulnerability, authenticity, being real. And what happens sometimes with the 7 is you don't know who you are, or you do know who you are, but you feel that people won't accept you for that. And then what you do is you put a mask up, or you put a front up, you pretend to be someone else, you pretend to live your life a different way, and you present that to the world, is because that's your idea of what you think they want to see. When in fact, actually, people only want to see who you really are. But there's usually some fear involved, either feeling like you're under attack, or you're judged, or you feel trapped. And then what you do is you then display only your good side to the world. And then when you get into your own space, then you can drop that mask and the armor, which sometimes becomes harder. The more and more you wear a mask and armor, the more you start identifying with it. So there may have been a time in your life where, due to judgment or feelings of attack, you would have pretended to be someone else, and it may have taken you some time to drop that layers and the shells to start clearing that. And also the three, just as I'm talking about, the three is about protection in the shell. So what you would have done as a protective barrier is to maybe pad up, maybe even protect your heart space, not allowing people into the heart space. And that would have taken time to sort of dismantle and release as you got older. Is that something that resonates? Is that something that works, that you can connect with?
Yes, because when I found out at an early age that I was gay, being brought up Catholic, I obviously had to pretend that I was straight, that I was normal, and went through quite a rigorous self program to see if I could change to become what the world expected of me, the family expected of me. So yes, there was a lot of hiding. Even at university, I never came out and pretended to be straight and yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay. And so as you got older, you actually had to make peace with that. You almost like you had to find yourself. You had to find your own authenticity. And obviously, where you are now, you would have gotten to a place where you have now stepped into that authenticity. You've embraced it. You've accepted that, and you're allowing yourself to be seen. And probably now you are probably working better with groups, facilitation, holding space. Whereas when you were younger, you would have been shying away from those, because that's all
I
what
think
this is
what I
about.
find is that when I know the people that I'm mingling with are like me,
Mm.
oddballs, different, who are authentic and brave to be who they are, then there isn't a resistance to just sort of coming clean with who I am. But when it feels like I'm going into a place where there is a kind of social expectation, social norm,
Mm.
then there's more of an awkwardness or resistance. I think it's just like I don't really want to play that game anymore. So I'd rather not mingle in that kind of circle.
Now, with the seven, it's not really necessarily about. I mean, when it comes to vulnerability and things like that, with vulnerability, we really get to choose who we are vulnerable with. Doesn't mean that because you go vulnerable, you've got to be like bare naked to the whole entire world. You can
Mhm.
choose who you want to be vulnerable with, and so you get to choose who you want to open up to. The big thing with the seven is just to learn not to have those masks. If people don't like you without the mask, then they'll move away naturally. The thing with the
Yeah, I've learned
seven,
that.
yeah.
I've learned that.
Yeah, the thing with the seven is that it's a magnetic, charismatic energy. So whether you like it or not, you're going to be attracting people to you no matter where you go in life. But the secret here is that it depends on where your heart is, and it depends on where your mind is. If you're in a space of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm this or I'm that, that's the type of people or energies that you can attract into your life. So the more you get into alignment with who you are as a true being, as a real human being, the more you're going to attract like-minded people into your space. And so the more you step into your vulnerability and authenticity, you're going to be attracted to, or people are going to be attracted to you who are in that same space. So you'll find that your life will be surrounded by like-minded people wherever you go. Um, so it's a good one to have. But in the beginning, when you're younger, it's obviously a little bit of a tough one. The seven is also a catalytic number. And what it does is it makes everything big. So it's like putting everything under a magnifying glass. And so you may find that you like to also analyze and then put things under the magnifying glass and look at it and understand how things work on like really on the minute level. So it's about the details at the end of the day. As in the challenge, there is a sort of you could be a little bit prone to fantasy, and it's again, like sort of you run off with your fantasies, almost like, let's say you meet someone, then immediately you go into fantasy about that person. It's almost like making up stories about who the person could be, where the person's from, and all of that. And so those are things that the more you get into alignment with yourself, those fantasies go away, because then you are more about, I'm authentic, and therefore the person I'm meeting is authentic, and I want to authentically meet that person. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Mhm.
Is any
It
fantasy
does.
background or whatever. The fantasy could also be a form of escape. So when you didn't want to connect with peers or groups when you were younger, there would have been some form of escape to make it a bit easier for you to survive or to get along with what's happening around you.
Yeah,
On the
I
more
totally agree.
positive side, that fantasy could become a gift when you step into the dreamer aspect of it and you become a visionary, and you can dream up new concepts or ideas that you can bring through. And this ties in
Mhm.
with your 10 ones. Your 10 ones is really, really inventive, and it's invention from the spirit realm. So it's connecting with spirit, with soul, maybe even energies beyond what you can think of, where you can download inventions or ideas. And that can then be translated through into the seven, almost like through a fantasy or a vision or a dream. And then what you need to do then is you need to bring that into a manifestation. So that will tie us in with our 19.1, which is about really anchoring and grounding and rooting in whatever that invention is and making that real, packaging it. So healing modalities or books or stories or any approaches
Like
that you
code.
do, light codes, anything like that. Yeah, packaging it and putting it down into an anchored, grounded, physical form almost, so people can see that. And then, yeah, it's really about participation. With the seven in the challenge, there's a reticence to participate, and it's
Mm.
about we're stepping back. But what you want to learn is you want to get into a place where you just participate. I know this about your human design, where you did, because you and Philip Petra talked about the invitation. The 7-7 is that type of energy where it's almost like you feel I need to be invited. But here it is about, if you're not going to be invited, start your own group, facilitate your own group, make your own invitation, allow yourself to call the people to you who you need. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's have a look at the 3-3 energy over here, your talent. So 3-3 is about expression. It's about whether this expression could be in written form, whether it's painting or singing, dancing, acting, anything like that. This is all about expression. So you probably have a good voice, singing voice, and you need to be able to chant with that, speak with that. Really good at writing, and probably good at art as well. Um, anything that you can use to express yourself on a deep level. Now, this is something that would have come all the way through from childhood, and you may have experienced or expressed these energies even when you were younger. But what I do notice here is that in your spiritual goal, we've got a 21-3. So there's threes repeated over here. And so when this happens, it's almost like your soul is pulling you or pulling the attention towards this energy as well. And so the spiritual goal means that this is later on in life. It's sort of after 40. So it's almost,
Mhm.
I get the sense that you were involved with art and writing and expression. And then perhaps it may have fizzled out along the way. And then as you get older, you are being pulled or drawn back to doing that expression of work. And so when you get to this new expression, it's like a new level and layer that's opening up, that is beyond what you started with. So your starting blocks that you had from you were younger, that's still there, but it's evolved into something a lot bigger and further. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I used to doodle quite a bit. It never really left.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a comic artist and stuff, but it's only been in the last 10 years, so that would be 43 onwards, where writing has come into play. I've always been able to write, but the articulation, the felt sense of the meaning, the essence of words, the real nuance between two words that might mean the same thing to normal people, and to actually use the right word to touch the piece of the soul that you're trying to connect
That's
with.
so typical three
Um,
energy.
yeah, and that's also coming through with my art, because it's just, it's taken on a life of its own. It literally feels like it is me drawing, but it doesn't feel like it's me, Walter, drawing. It feels like when I'm in the zone, it feels like something else is actually pushing the artwork. Something else is navigating the placements of the pictures and stuff.
Yeah. And it's really, really important for you to bring that expression out, because if that expression is stifled or held back or twisted or something like that, that's going to bring lots of frustration and perhaps even some anger on your side. And yeah, I mean, if that's going to be pulled in towards the 7-7 energy, it could make you a little bit more of a hermit or more reticent to actually share the information or share the artwork or the spoken word or whatever comes through. So just keep expressing yourself. The threes are also really amazing when it comes to teaching. So teaching is always a wonderful way to learn and to share. The three wants to, when you teach, you want to be able to help people to get to new depths of information. So the symbol itself here, you can see it's got many layers to this. And there is a little opening over here. So it is about almost like choosing or yeah, really thinking about who you want to share the information with, and then making sure that you've got that focus. Because if you're just going to share your message out into the open, there's going to be a lot of people who won't understand what it's about and who will probably not get it. And so then it's going to just land on deaf ears. So really want to almost like focus on your niche market that will tie in with your 7, which is about the like-minded people. But any form of expression, written word, painting, drawing, acting, singing, dancing, any of those things, you should be really, really good at all of those things. It's a very creative energy. And yeah, there is also, when I'm looking at this, the 10-1 has almost like a sexual energy to it. The 3 also has that. So there's a quality of tantra or understanding tantra, or maybe sex and sexuality, perhaps a deep maybe a sexual desire or something when you were younger. As you grow up, it's about really stepping into understanding what that sexual energy is about and how to balance that. And when we talk about tantra, it's not just about sex, but it's also about the masculine and feminine energy, the balance of energy and how that flows. When it comes to tantra as well, it's about understanding the flow of kundalini energy, the understanding of the energy through the chakras. And so that could also take you through to working as an energy worker, perhaps even going into the field of sex therapy or sex education or something. I don't know if that's something that you've ever thought about.
No, I think in terms of the Tantra, from the level that I actually use it, it's really to, when people talk to me in session, I read where the energy sits or how it stirs, and I then use that as a way of finding a solution to facilitate
Yes.
the movement to a better level.
That's good. Perfect. So is about that consciousness and understanding of the energy. Yay. Okay, then let's have a look at the 19-1 over here. With 19-1, this is about a vessel or a container. This could be either in the form of books or a healing center. It could be creation of music. It could even be creation of artwork. You mentioned you're doing the light codes. So it's that same thing. It's like containing the essence of an energy or something that you can then share with the world. The 19-1 wants to leave the world a better place. So it's about finding a way that you can to have your vision or insight of, I want to see the world look like this, and then finding a way to then share that with the rest of the world. This is an extremely intuitive energy, and so sometimes can be quite overwhelming, especially, I mean, this is still in the worldly triangle. So when you were younger, if that intuitive spark kicked up, you would have gone like, what's going on over here? There may have been some questioning around how to handle it, how to deal with it. But then when you step into your later part of life, it's like that you start to trust that intuition, that intuitive side more. Because very, very, very intuitive, this 19-1. This is really about diving in and trusting intuition almost more than what you trust the mind, like really working with the information that's coming through. And the 19 ones want to help other people reach their goals. So if we're looking at from a younger perspective, you wanted to, if you helped someone with a project, with anything, you were helping them because you wanted to see them become better. As you get older, that gets translated into the work that you do, where you help people to become better as well. It's just a slightly different approach in how that works. There's a very strong philanthropic nature here with the 19-1, with helping people. But I will also just say, because of the 13-4 that you've got in your spiritual challenge, you also need to learn how to nurture yourself, because I sense there could be times when you perhaps put others in front of you and you nurture them a lot more than what you nurture yourself. And so with this 19 and the 10, I mean, 10 is also service related energy. You've got this service energy over here. So a big chunk of your chart is service. And sometimes that service is then moved over onto other people instead of onto yourself when you need it, because you also need to know when to say no to all of those things. And then sometimes you push really hard with this 21-3. So also needing to learn how to step back a little bit. The 19-1 in general have a good sense of humor. So if you didn't have a good sense of humor when you were younger, it's in the goal. So it's something that you wanted to develop. How was your sense of humor back when you were younger? Did you have it, or did you have to develop that? Hey?
I'm a Capricorn.
So no sense of humor.
No, I do have a dry sense of humor, but business first before fun. It's like, but there are moments where I can be a bit silly, but more often than not, business first.
Yeah, you want to get more into the silliness, because 19-1s are associated with laughter. So this is really about,
I do laugh a lot.
But you need to laugh more. So you need to have lots of fun with this laughter. Maybe we need to get you into some laughter yoga.
Oh God,
really
no.
into that. So the laughter is something that's really good and powerful. You also have a 13-4, which is about the smile and about the radiance. And I find with the 13-4, it's more about the giggle, not so much about the out loud laughter. But because it's in the challenge, we're wanting to get into almost like opening up that space so that you can get into the laughter, because that's inviting you to get into this 19-1 where the laughter gets even bigger. Where that brings a good sense of humor, and it helps to raise the frequency just with that energy. The 19-1.
Maybe that's where I need to go.
So again?
Maybe I need to become a laughter yoga
instructor. I'm looking forward to that one. So with our 19-1, there comes a great spiritual power. It's a really stable energy. So in your chart specifically, we don't really have a grounding, anchoring energy, if that makes sense. So your energies are really high vibe and high frequency. It's all up. But what the 19 does is it's got a stability to it. So even though the frequency is high, it's stable. Whereas a lot of the times you get higher frequency energies where it sort of floats around and it's all floaty. Within your chart, even though the energies are floaty and high vibe, there's a stability to that and a structure, which is really good. And so as a result, you have this ability to hold space for people, to teach, to perhaps step into more deeper like healing work and things like that. But what is important for you at some point, if you haven't done this yet, is you need to find a way that you can do compilations of your work, whether it's in a book or whether it is starting a studio or a healing space, maybe running retreats, and really stepping into the group activity where you choose who you want to invite into the space. So this is where you take the 7 quality and you marry it with the 19 to maybe do a retreat, or whether it is just holding small groups or something like that, and work with teaching and healing, readings and things like that. Those are all things that would tie in with this energy.
Okay.
Perhaps even going into something like yoga, because yoga is what your integration is with your 7. 7 is about integrating the head, the heart, and the gut. And so yoga is a really good way to do that. And that will help you to also reach this goal where you can hold space for the other people. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then let's have a look at the spiritual challenge over here, the 13-4. So you're a water baby. Do you like water?
I love water.
Okay.
My name is Walter.
Hey?
When I was younger, they used to call me Water Boy.
Water
Water
boy.
Boy.
Yeah. So the 13-4 is very strongly associated with water. So usually I found that doesn't matter where it comes in the chart. Um, the people are always very, very drawn to water, want to be surrounded by water, want to live near water, work with water, activated by water, and so forth. So any work that you can do in water, around water, is going to be something that's going to be very beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm.
13-4 in general is associated with teaching, nurturing. There's usually a soft, calm energy around them, and it's a very wise energy. Now, having mentioned soft and calm, in the challenge, that would be flip side. So in the challenge, it could be a little bit more rough and crazy. Like the energy could be a little bit more intense, maybe a little bit more aggressive, and less soft. And so the challenge here, or the growth opportunity, is to learn how to soften the energy, how to soften your own energy.
Yeah,
Um,
I can sort of relate to that because in my younger years, my teaching style was very much about the urgency
mm,
because I saw the potential. I was helping fellow students in chemistry.
mm,
I knew there was an exam coming up, so there was a harshness to the way I was teaching. I was trying to deliver as much as I could, and I know they were learning, but there was a demand on them to step up to recognize the urgency. So what I'm actually picking up from this, the healing from that, is to learn to trust that you can only deliver what you can, give what you can offer to the person, and what they can then receive, they will receive. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're not ready, they're not ready. But to deliver it from a space of trust, a trusting in yourself and a trusting in the bigger picture, and also the trusting that even if they don't pass the first time round, it's always a second time, a third, and a fourth.
yeah.
So it's not like a life or death, or there is no other option. It's really opening up to trust. I really feel that 13-4 is about trust.
Mm. This is also in combination with the 7, because what happens with the 7 is sometimes holding back, instead of teaching the whole story, holding back and deciding, oh, the person's only ready to receive this, and then only giving that piece of information. But how it works is if a person's not ready to receive it, it'll just wash over them. They won't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's with the 13-4, it's going like, let's share this information, but share it in a soft, gentle, nurturing kind of way. If people receive it,
Mm-hmm.
they receive it. If they don't receive it, they don't receive it. With your 13-4, this would obviously happen somewhere later in life, as you got older, somewhere between your 30s and your 40s. We don't need to know when this happened, but sometimes you'll know when it happened, when certain of these qualities come to the surface quite strongly. So with the 13-4, it's got a strong sense of being abandoned, perhaps being unloved or rejected, or not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And so when this would have kicked in for you, I don't know how old you would have been, if you can remember any times like that. Is there anything that stands out for you?
I think in terms of the fact that 34 is about the nurturing energy, the most prominent thing that happened around the age of 35 to 39 was when Michael, my partner at the time, was diagnosed with cancer. So the urgency to nurture, to care, to look after. And I was supported by the medical system. We were supported, but in terms of supported by the universe is where I felt
That's
I
where the
failed.
abandonment thing came from, the feeling
Exactly. So
of abandonment.
I felt like the universe had failed me. I thought the universe had failed him. And that was a healing journey in itself, because I had to heal the idea of what I thought the universe owed me. That again, it's like from a human perspective, it's like, no, I want him to live, or no, I'll accept that he's dead. But from a soul perspective, it's like it's all just one journey, that even if you fail this first time, there's a second, a third, fourth, fifth, whatever. So I think that was really within the age of 35 to 39. I think culminating really around 38 years old,
Okay.
when it really peaked. That I felt that the whole system, as in my relationship to the universe, was like fucked up. Sorry about the language, but I thought it was
No, you can use
broken.
any language.
But it didn't feel like it was looking after me. And I guess in a sense, I had to learn to look after myself. So that's when I started the whole um, energy medicine, learning about how to actually move energy around, that sort of thing. So it had its positive and its negatives, but I think the negatives catalyzed the positive
Right.
aspects.
That's why I marked this 10-1. The 10-1 is when you start going onto the spiritual journey. That's when you start going into the healing work. And so even though you had this abandonment over here and sort of feeling of unloved or unsupported, that catapulted you into a space where you could step into a more spiritual way of being, or perhaps going into the healing world, and learning how to work with that. But then
Yeah.
also the 21-3 is about endurance and pushing through and working really hard, perhaps not resting as often as you should have. So we can actually see how this triangle, like quite physically, actively manifested for you around that age 35 to 39. So that's actually a really strong indication of when this activated for you. So before that, you were mainly going around in the worldly triangle. And then when you get
Mm-hmm.
to this age, the spiritual triangle activated. Worldly triangle is still there, so you still have to work with it. But now we are in the spiritual triangle where there's another layer added onto everything. The 13-4 in the challenge, they could come across as like a frosty exterior or maybe even a little bit abrasive or abrupt. And it is
Mm-hmm.
usually because there's so much happening in life and you turn within and you are so focused on what's happening in around you or with you that the rest is sort of not important. You were in a unique situation where you had a lot happening in your life where you had to turn within, but at the same time you had to turn without to focus on someone else as well. The focusing on someone else is actually the healing with the 13-4. So in a way, even though you had a really harsh experience or tough experience there, that was part of the healing at the same time. So you got the medicine at the same time as this activated, which is actually a huge blessing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the confidence levels may have gone down a little bit here as well, because the 13-4 is about confidence. And when we've got the 3 over here, this is usually quite a strong, confident energy. But going through the abandonment and the lack of love or unsupport, that could lead you to sort of betrayal scenarios where you feel betrayed and then you start isolating yourself again, folding more into your story and what's happening. And then you become detached from the world around you, which then takes you back into this sort of 7-7 hermit like quality where you pull away from society, perhaps even pull away a little bit to some degree from spirituality, but luckily you had the 10-1 over here that pulled you towards the spirituality, which is, I think, what would be the saving grace over here. How was your sense of smell when you were younger, and how is your sense of smell now?
My sense of smell from a, as in physical sense,
Mm.
it's not great. It has never been. I've always had like sinus issues.
Mm.
But if you ask me to sniff something out psychically, I can smell it. I
That's what I'm
can't
getting
smell it
at.
physically, but I can smell it psychically. So
Yes.
whatever that means.
So the 13-4 is the psychic sense of smell. So that's why I asked you,
Okay.
like when you were younger, you may not have been aware of it, but as you got older, that would have been something that comes more to the surface. Perhaps you were drawn during this time, maybe also more to aromatherapy or working with fragrances, working with oils or incenses or things like that. That may have been something that sparked up an interest around this age for you. And this is something that you can work with. You can develop that sense of smell and continue developing that as you go through.
Well, I did actually think I wanted to actually consider creating a product based on essential oil combinations
Hmm.
from a person's birth chart to
Yes.
create a specific scent, create
Yes.
a specific scent that was more in line with the person's essence on
Mhm.
their birth chart.
That would also then tie into the 19.1 where you create a product, you create something. So those would all be
Mm.
really good for you if you do that. With your 13.4, what also had to happen at this time was you had to activate your maternal instinct. You had to activate that nurturing instinct. So, in a way, what happened with you and just this whole scenario was actually there as a catalyst for you to step into that role of caring for someone else while also caring for yourself. And it was there to
Mhm.
catapult you into your 10.1 quality. So you need to, I don't know if you've done any work around that relationship and maybe not forgiveness work perhaps, but really like step into a place of acknowledgement of what happened there and how it got you onto your journey and
Oh yeah,
acknowledging how far you have come. Do you ever
absolutely.
give yourself a pat on the back and say, well done for everything I've done?
No, I pat myself on the back, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I also see the situation that happened as a needed catalyst that I, as a soul, needed to undergo to actually be where I am today. That even Michael had undertaken the role as the dying partner for that particular reason.
Oh, good. Um, as I'm looking at the three, the three is associated with wealth and abundance. So
Mm-hmm.
it normally indicates in the talent that wealth, abundance, money, and finances they come quite easy to you. 13.4 is about fertility, infertility. So there is also an abundance quality to that. But with the 13.4 in the challenge, it would sort of go more with up and down, perhaps struggling financially, almost like going up, down the whole time. We want to get to a place where that can go continuously up or at least stay level. Um, but the important thing to remember here is when finances go down, it usually has a direct relation to self worth because our 3.3 is self worth. So these two would tie in with each other. So when finances go down, check where your self worth is lying and then work on self worth more so than maybe working on manifestation or getting more money in somehow. Work on the self worth. As the self worth comes up, that's going to bring the balance in. It's going to help to flow more on that level. And as the 13.4 steps into the positive, into the talent, which I think that you had the opportunity to really work quite deeply with this energy, and therefore you could have twisted that energy around quite fast. That would also get you into a place where financially you would be better off. Perhaps you would have had around the time 34 or whatever, after 40 or so, perhaps financially things were becoming more stable for you. And it would have been a little bit stronger. And that's just what you want to do is you want to focus on that self worth quality. Again, just also with the 21.3, that three echoing over there takes us back to the self worth. So it's for me, when something is in a spiritual goal, this is ongoing work. This is work that you're going to continue doing until you've mastered all of that. So this is ongoing work, that self worth and working with the worth. And I would just say keep smiling. You need to use that smile. You need to shine your light. You need to be radiant. You need to get your light out into the world. Don't hide the light. I think with the 13.4 and the challenge, it would be something that you may have done where you again tie in with a 7 and sort of hide behind um, maybe even like putting your light on under a bucket under the bed type thing. So you really need to get into a place where you can confidently shine your light and be out there. The 10.1 actually has in the one quality has a lighthouse factor to it. I call it the lighthouse energy because it's really about just shining your light brightly and allowing people to receive the light or not. If they are ready to receive it, they receive it. If they don't want to receive it, they don't receive it. And you just keep shining your light. You don't hold back and you don't go like, oh, you're not ready to receive my light, so I'm not going to give it to you. The 10.1 just goes like, I'm shining my light. And so that ties in with this radiant quality of the three. And if you combine that with the laughter and the brightness, yeah, because here you've got a 1 again, a 1, 1. So you've got lots of that lighthouse energy in your chart. Shine your light. Don't be afraid to shine your light and share that with the people. If people are not ready to receive it or they don't want to receive it, they can move away or they'll move somewhere else with that. Does that one make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, then our 10 ones, I'm going to sort of bundle these two up together because it's the talent is also the soul destiny. The soul destiny is like a bigger goal. So the goals are what you want to achieve, and the soul destiny is like an overall goal that you want to achieve in life. This 10-1 energy is one of our highest frequencies energies that we have within all of Soul Plan. So the main keyword with a 10-1 is balance. And that would tie in with our 7-7, where it's also about integration. So if we take all of these together, that's balance and integration. And the balance and integration comes through the heart. So whatever it is that you wanted to do in life has to come through the heart space. That is of utmost importance. And if you can integrate the head and the heart and the gut and the heart, then that's really where we want to be. The 10 ones are super inventive. Your inventions don't come from worldly thinking. It's usually downloads that's received from somewhere. It's like just ideas that drop into your head from nowhere, and you go, I've got this idea. I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to do it. And you really want to take these ideas and put them into some form of container. Make them active, make them real, make them be there. If you're going to have ideas and concepts and just let them float in your head, they're going to just float out of the head. You're going to forget about them along the way. You may remember them later on, but really commit that inventions to at least commit it to paper so that you can then later on commit that concept, because we don't want there is a little bit of a procrastination quality here, or a quality where you get distracted and then say, okay, I'll do it later. I'll remember, and then you forget about it and it fizzles out. So if you commit it to paper and then find a way to make that a reality, even if you don't know how to, find a way, perhaps connect with people who may know how to do that. This is really, really important for you. And at the core of all of it is balance. So whatever you do, whether you are pushing hard to learn, or whether you are studying, or whatever it is you're doing, you want to find a way to bring it through in a very balanced way. Because our 10-1 is about the masculine and feminine, the positive, the negative, the yin and the yang. So you want to get all of those energies in. 10-1 is really good at healing. So any work to do with healing, stepping into the world as a healer, and perhaps even going as far as teaching healing would be really beneficial to you. There's a very strong vocal expression with a 10-1. The 3 also has a vocal expression. So if we look at vocals over here for 10-1, the 3 has it, the 21-3 will have that as well. That's a massive chunk of your chart that is to do with vocal expression. So you need to find a way that you can teach, share, chant, tone, get a message out into the world in whatever shape or form it is. But the voice is really important. So if you are going to go into something like sound healing or sound or vibrational healing, it really is about using the voice, singing, speaking, chanting, toning, channeling. This is a very strong channeling quality. Trust your channel, trust the information that's coming through. The very strong spiritual connection with the 10-1, because it isn't a talent, you're naturally drawn to spirituality and spiritual practices. What you want to do, though, is you want to find a way that you can take that connection to source and pull that energy down and bring it into the physical world, tie that into the 19-1, where you can package it and share it with other people, share it with the world, leave the world a better place than what you found the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I sort of felt a bit of resistance with the idea of packaging it.
That's the resistance.
No. I'm going to try and do some work around that, because I think there's a felt sense that packaging feels almost vulgar to the energy that I want to bring in. And it's like, if I put it in a packet, it feels like it becomes less, not viable, it just becomes less sacred. But I'll work on that and see what I can do.
This is the dynamic over here. That's sort of this vulgar package, because your 7 is about that authenticity and heart space. So the question is, how do I package this heartfelt feeling or energy and be able to share that? How that package is going to look, we don't know. It could be individual packages that you send out to people, as in individual codes or messages or meditations or whatever, or it could be something that's more general for the public. That's going to be entirely up to you. But you need to be within your authenticity. If something doesn't feel right for you, then you're not doing it. Very, very important.
Okay.
So when you do a package, I'm not saying like spit everything out and make a package from that.
Yeah, I know.
But really be true to your heart. What works for you, that needs to go out. But anything to do with healing modalities, healing energies, because you've got this very strong healing quality here. You've got the expression over you. You need to find a way to share that expression with the world as well. And if you can then get that through to the package side, that's where the magic lies. Usually I find in the goals, especially the worldly goals, people have a resistance to that aspect. Whatever the energy is here, whether it's doesn't matter what the energy is that people have in that goal, a lot of times people will have a resistance to that. And that is part of the challenge, that's part of the growth. It's about stepping through that discomfort and stepping into that space and going like, I can do this. I want to do this. And now how am I going to find a way that's going to work for me? Remember, with the alien soul energy, you're not from here. So you're almost like playing by different rule book to this planet. And instead of trying to conform to how the planet wants you to be and how the planet wants you to present to the planet who and what you are, and let the planet then accept you for who and what you are. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
again, shine my light.
Yeah, embrace the fact that you're an alien. Be the alien that you are, and just say, "Hello, world. I'm here. I'm an alien. Take it, don't take it. Leave it, if you leave it." Yeah, and then bring that through, because there will be people who will be attracted to that. You'll find other people who will connect with that, and they'll be drawn to that particular energy. Okay. And then let's have a look at your 21-3. The 21-3 here is about stability and endurance, and also about energy. So this is about stamina, really pushing through. It's got a very strong expressive quality to it. This tends to lean more into the writer side of things, where the 3-3 is like writing, singing, speaking, acting, a whole range of them. The 21-3 focuses a lot more on the writing side. So really getting the right words written down, really perhaps even going into writing a book, if we combine that with the 19 over here. But it is about endurance work. It's about setting goals and achieving goals. And if we looked at the whole energy of your chart earlier, there was a little bit of a scattered quality to it. The 21-3 is saying, can we get that energy focus in? Then can we get a goal set up, and can we meet our goals? When I set a goal, can I meet that goal? You don't have to be very big on the goals. It could be smaller goals. Small goals lead you to a big goal, but you need to do that goal setting. It's really important for you to actually get to a place where you can get to that point. Any form of creative work, again, will be beneficial for you. And if it's about communication, that's really going to be good as well. You may be on some level attracted to endurance sports, or maybe pushing the body a little bit further just to see what can I do with this body. So anything, if we tie in with the 7, which is yoga orientated, you may want to go to a little bit more of a stronger form of yoga, like hatha yoga, but like Iyengar style, where you really push a little bit beyond. Perhaps even vinyasa, where you can build up a sweat, or kundalini yoga, where you can work with endurance and really pushing through. You may find something like a yin yoga a little bit boring, but the 10-1 will do really well with a yin yoga. So maybe find a balance between all of them.
Maybe find the balance.
Yes, find the balance. Do a bit of yin, then go a bit of vinyasa, then you go a bit of hatha, then you go a bit of kundalini, and then you go back to a yin. Do a combination. Yeah, those are really good things for you. The 21-3s are amazing communicators, and they are really good in the leadership role. The leadership quality that you will have will probably be a little bit different to what is seen, because of this 10-1 quality. The 10-1 is the lighthouse. I'm shining the light, and I'm leading by shining the light. I don't really need to see my audience. The 7 is saying, I want to lead, but I want to lead small groups. And the 21-3 goes like, well, I'm just a leader. I don't really care who I lead. So what you can do is just do the whole shining of the light, be the beacon that you are, and get the energy out there for the world to see. Does that one make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just for just time constraints, because obviously we can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and on and on and on. But for time constraints, I'm going to pause the reading over here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move into the grace clearing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, are you okay with that?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, just while we taking that little bit of a pause, I hope the students are also okay. So let's move on to grace clearing and then let's see how that all goes. Okay, so let's get comfortable again. Close your eyes and just nice, slow, deep breathing. Drop into your heart. Just get a sense of what the energy feels like in the heart. Perhaps compare it to how it felt earlier before we started the reading. Perhaps there's a change for you. From your heart, send a connection to my heart. And I do the same. From your heart, send a connection to the all that is. Perhaps just remembering that at the beginning of the session, we connected with the all that is already. Just remember that connection. Remembering the connection that we formed from heart to heart and from your heart to the heart of the earth. And see if throughout this session you could just focus your energy and your attention on the connection that you have with the heart of the all that is, just so that we can ground the energies to come. Through this process, I'll guide you through with everything I'm doing. There'll be commands. So you just keep your eyes closed, be like a sponge, just soak it up. If you don't remember anything, it's also okay. We do have it recorded. You can always come back to this. I ask that the hologram representing blockages formed through this and other relevant incarnations appear in front of this being. Show me or let me know. Soul record hologram representing this being's current soul plan status. I'm tuning into the energy that sits behind you to give an idea as to how life was before you were in alignment with your chart. And the image that comes to mind is, it looks almost like white paint peeling off a wall. So I'm seeing pieces of the broken wall sitting behind, and I've got the paint peeling off. I'm trying to sort of step back from the image, but it's almost like the more I step back, it's almost like this wall is following me. And so it feels like there's perhaps something, the wall feels hidden behind the paint, and yet the paint feels like it should be there to protect, but it is peeling off. So there's a bit of a conflict. Like I want to see the wall, but I also want to see the paint on the wall. I'm going to tune into the hologram of how life would be once you are in alignment with the chart. And the image that comes to mind is like one of those macro shots where you take a camera and you shove it right underneath a mushroom. And I can literally see this mushroom growing up. It's like this beautiful, big, massive, almost like a glowing mushroom. And it feels like it is just this giant mushroom growing up. So I feel quite small in like looking at the surroundings. It feels like I'm in a beautiful forest. There's fireflies going around. It feels like it's nighttime, and yet the whole place is lit up. Like there's an energy and there's colors and vibrancy and everything's glowing. So it feels almost like some space in Avatar or something. It's quite magical. As I'm trying to sort of zoom out a little bit and get a bigger part of the picture, it just feels like this surrounding world is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really, really expansive. And there's a sense of awe and wonder and freedom and excitement as I'm looking at this hologram. So it's actually really beautiful to see compared to the sort of healing paint that we had earlier, which was very dense and like lifeless almost. I'm going to return this holograms back to source. I'm going to do that with an out breath. Return to source. I ask this energy to be cleared and then to be returned to the divine original blueprint. And through the divine law of grace, may this being be cleared of all blockages and patternings from past and ancestral, present life and parents, future life and causal, now. Then you're restored to your divine original blueprint and realigned with your truest purpose in this now moment. I ask for this energy blueprint to be integrated at the DNA levels and throughout this being's energy bodies and systems. And while this energy is integrating on your DNA levels and into your bodies and systems, I'm going to read you a soul message for the 10-1 in your soul destiny. So just be like a sponge and soak up the message. All there is love. All there is now. All there is infinite sweetness. All there is light. Steeped deeply, securely, steadfast, and at one with this power, you gently flow with the apparent reality. Take refuge in all that is. There is no other way. All apparent choices were also part of this. All apparent choices are also part of you. I'm going to read you your worldly challenge affirmation. So for the 7-7, as I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. As I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. As I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. And then your affirmation for your spiritual challenge of the 13-4. I am love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am 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 love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am loved. 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 I am love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am loved. 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 Becoming aware of the connections you formed, heart, to the heart of the earth, to the heart of all that is, and to your soul. Just easily and gently allow those connections to dissolve. Coming back into this space, becoming aware of your body, and just firmly plant your feet into the ground, grounding the energies. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Welcome back.